Hello, I'm Monsignor Charles Minor.
I'm Father Joe Glass. Welcome to Reel to Reel.
This is a wonderful feast day for all of us, Joe, and for all of you, it's the feast day of the church, Pentecost.
Yeah, the Feast of Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit descended not only on those apostles, but on all of us and has breathed his life into the church.
At this time, I think we also should greet all charismatics. You've made a great impression on the church over the last 20, 25 years, one we really have taken advantage of.
That's true. Great numbers of charismatics in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, also in our own diocese of Trenton, Camden, and one does not necessarily have to be a member of a charismatic community to feel the influence in a very positive way that they've made on the church.
The influence we have felt from Jesus down through the years has, of course, been his parables. One we like to address tonight in a very interesting way is called the mustard seed. And of course, while we do that, we want to talk to Dr. Fitzgibbons about stress in a family life.
Monsignor Daniel Murray is going to tackle a rather difficult phrase from the Creed and give us his insights into the meaning of it. Jesus descended into hell. Also, I'll be interviewing Linda Seguino, who's the president of the Fellowship of Catholic Adults, kind of a new group starting in the Delaware Valley, and she's doing some marvelous work bringing people of common interest and common backgrounds together to share socially, spiritually, and in some service projects.
And I wonder if she can help you in a special project. I know you know very little about basketball, a lot about baseball. Do you ever think of learning something about basketball?
I love baseball, and I really am ignorant when it comes to basketball. One thing I know, though, is the name Rollie Massimino, and we're going to travel with him now and see how he unites faith and his duties as coach of Villanova. And I think after viewing this piece, we'll each know a little bit more about basketball and about faith.
Here's Pick Brown. Good entry to Smith. Locked in, blocked by Beckenham. 3-on-1. Massey in the open floor with a tomahawk. Gary Massey on a foul on Ryan Leahy. Well, what
Rollie Massimino has headed Villanova's basketball program for the past 15 seasons. Through his determination to transform the Wildcats into a basketball powerhouse, the team has earned the right to join the prestigious Big East Conference. Besides participating in 11 postseason tournaments, Villanova has taken the Big East Conference title twice, only to be surpassed by the 1985 NCAA National Championship victory. For most collegiate coaches, earning the national championship title would be the ultimate success. But for Coach Mass, the dream goes much further.
We work very, very hard, and that everyone that comes through this program has to have the opportunity to graduate, which everyone has. If you don't go to school, you don't play. And the kids know that.
Student athletes graduating on time with a meaningful degree, a goal sometimes too challenging to accomplish. But for Villanova basketball players, academic success is a team requirement.
Our scholastics come number one in coach's mind. We have a mandatory study hall for everyone on the team, and you're expected to attend it. And if you're not doing well in the classroom, you will not play.
Sharing philosophies, encouraging a family atmosphere, and caring about the student athlete, both on and off the court, are ways in which Coach Massimino motivates his players to meet their potential, scholastically, athletically, and socially.
Straight up and down, that's the way, straight up and down.
Coach Massey is a very fundamental coach. He's very sound. He motivates us. He's a father on the court as well as off the court to us. He's someone little kids could look up to. Coach has his different speeches, his different philosophies. He's a great philosopher.
Every single day before practice, I spend 5 minutes talking about life, talking about what it relates to in terms of basketball and what we should and should not do. You got to try to be the best you can be in whatever you do. And if you're coaching, if you're playing basketball, if you're working and whatever you're doing, you want to be the very best you can be. That's the ultimate philosophy. We might not be the best or most talented team, but we certainly play to our capacity only because we believe that we can do it.
From day one, when we first had our first preseason meeting to the end of the year, Coach's main word at halftime, if we were up or even if we were down, was you had to dig a little deeper inside yourself to find a way to win the game. He loves to win, and he loves to be competitive, and even if we do lose, as long as we go out and play as hard as we can, he's happy. But if we don't do what he expects of us, then his emotions really do come out. Coach is known to have his hair sticking up in the air, acting wild on the sidelines, dancing up and down the sidelines. But that's just how Coach is. That's the way he coaches.
Although several Villanova basketball players have turned pro, John Olive, Massimino's first recruit, chose to leave the NBA and join the Wildcats coaching staff as an assistant.
Coach Massimino, that's the reason I chose Villanova. He's still very much a father-like figure to me and will always be. That's how I first got to know him. I still call him Coach and will always call him Coach. Yet, obviously now I have a lot more input into what our program does. Coach Mass is, without question, one of the top basketball coaches in the country. The judgments that he makes in game situations are incredible. His players respect him. They play hard for him. He motivates them to be the best they can be.
It takes a certain kind of recruit to play for Raleigh, someone willing to give up himself even after the final buzzer sounds.
Every player has to decide whether or not the recruit fits in with us. And then if they fit in with us, then we go out and recruit that person. It's a little bit different. Then we have that opportunity to bring them into our family. We just don't play basketball. I mean, we go to school. We get to get involved with many, many charities. We go to St. Edmund's Home, for example, or Don Guanella School, or the Children's Hospital. We do that every Christmas where someone is Santa Claus.
Leanne Massimino, coach's daughter and head women's lacrosse coach at Villanova, has a difficult job of being her father's business manager.
Anything he doesn't do for Villanova, I help him arrange. His speaking engagements, his any charitable work, his camps I run. He has a TV show that runs for 20 weeks, and I help produce that. My dad's involved in a lot of different charitable organizations. He did in the past do the March of Dimes telethon. That is how he got involved with Karen Thumb.
Karen, a March of Dimes poster child, holds a special place in Coach's heart.
And he calls me when I'm in the hospital. He gives us tickets for the games. And before all the games, he comes over and gives me a kiss. And that makes me feel happy. I make him pictures and I call him.
Just as Coach Massimino brings a family ambience to Villanova, so does he share the Villanova spirit with his family.
Well, I think I have two families. My immediate family with my wife and my children, and our other family is our Villanova family. Both are very, very special. And the people you love the most, you're with the least, and that's my immediate family. God has been very, very good to me in giving us the opportunity to have a job like this and to get involved with various people, but most especially have the opportunity to go out and now give back so many things that I've been given over the years, and I try to relate that to my own children, and they all know what it's all about, you know, and who they represent, and right from the first one to the last one of the five, and it's the same way with our players. And that's why, you know, I love both of them very, very much, and it's just an extension. That's what the players are, an extension of my family.
The essence of Christian living is really just that, the extended family. So when Coach Raleigh talks about extending his family and his community and his basketball life, it's really truly Christian. Stay with us. We have some more extension to do with you. Since 1981, Reel to Reel has been proclaiming the good news by bringing you stories of Christian faith in action. We do it by roaming the Delaware Valley, searching for people of faith, hope, and charity.
But like all modern media, it is an expensive proposition. If you're a new viewer, or if you've enjoyed Reel to Reel for many years, we'd like to thank you for watching and invite you to participate by actively supporting the show.
With costs rising all around us, we need your financial support. A donation of $5, $10, $20, or whatever you can send will help to keep us on the air.
Send your contributions to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, PA 19103. And thank you.
20 years ago, leukemia took the lives of enough people to fill a ballpark. But today, more people are surviving thanks to research by the Leukemia Society of America.
Hi, I'm Gary Carter. Join the team that's striking out leukemia. The Leukemia Society of America. We're closing in on a killer.
My favorite things about the interview portion of Reel to Reel is not only getting into some of the weighty issues and topics we discuss, but most of all, making you aware of some new groups and activities that are going on in the Delaware Valley, showing you the vibrancy of the church. One such group is the Fellowship of Catholic Adults, and with us today on Reel to Reel is the president of that group, Linda Seguino. Linda, welcome to Reel to Reel.
Thank you, Father.
And congratulations. It's not easy getting anything started sometimes in a church or in a local parish, and you have gotten off the ground a group of young adults, young Catholics coming together. And this group you have formed, this fellowship, kind of goes beyond the boundaries of any one parish and even crosses the boundaries of the diocese of Philadelphia, Camden, Trenton. Tell us about the group and how it got going.
Exactly. Well, we started last September of '87, and there was about 10 or 12 of us that got together and decided we wanted to start a group. And we established some criteria, which are that the people in the group need to be Catholic, they're supposed to be professionals, have a 4-year college degree, and between the ages of 25 and 40. And from that 12, we've now grown. We've got over 50 members, half of which are men and half of which are women. And we've got about 30 or so people that are on what we call our non-member mailing list, and they are coming to events and checking out the group and seeing how they like it, and hopefully they'll join.
And maybe they'll join. But your goal is actually not to just put big numbers up on the board. You kind of want to keep this group small so that everybody knows everybody else and feels that they have a good relationship with the other members of the group. Tell me first, though, about the criteria. How did you establish that and why? I guess some people challenge some of the requirements and want to know where that came from, and is this arbitrary? What's your goal in setting up a group with this kind of criteria for membership?
Okay, our goal primarily is to bring a group of people together with common background and common interests, and to grow together, to develop relationships between the people, to grow together spiritually, intellectually, professionally, personally, that kind of thing. And for that reason, we had to set criteria which would establish people with similar backgrounds, and that's how we came up with the criteria.
So you, by these different criteria, you don't mean it in a negative way or any negative connotation, but rather a positive means of bringing like people together.
Sure.
Now tell me about some of the things the group does. Do you meet on a regular basis? Do you have a meeting house? Are you going to build a building or what?
Well, we don't have a set meeting place. When we do meet, we meet once a month as a group, and we meet usually in one of the members' homes. And at those meetings, we do planning and we schedule events. And most of our meetings come in the form of activities and events, and they center around 4 basic committees. There's a social committee, a spiritual and civic committee or service committee, a cultural and educational committee, and a sports committee. And we try to schedule at least one event a month for each of those committees, and usually we have more social things, and there's usually about 6 or 7 events per month.
Okay. Now, I know one of your purposes, though, of coming on Reel to Reel today is not only to make people aware of the group and give them the invitation to check you out and to come and see if they're interested in membership, but also you are looking for more agencies and groups to be able to help in your service project. Here you've got a group of committed Catholic young people willing to give some time back to the community, and you're right now looking for some leads on where best to put your energy. Huh? You want to elaborate on that?
Yes, we've been doing a lot of work with St. Vincent's Orphanage up in the Northeast, and at Christmas time we hosted a party for them and donated gifts to all the children. There was about 60 children at the party. And we've done a variety of activities with them. We had a crafts day where we did crafts with the children, and a play day in May outside. And we're also looking for other nursing homes and other kinds of orphanages that are looking for some people to come help out.
Okay, that would be willing to open their doors and have you come in and be of assistance. It's terrific. I want to give some phone numbers right now, both for New Jersey and Pennsylvania, for anyone who's interested in becoming a member of the Fellowship of Catholic Adults, but also if you are connected with an organization or agency or institution that would like to have these young adults on your team sharing their time, their effort, and their talent on behalf of your organization. information. The phone numbers are as follows. In Pennsylvania, you can call 215-663-1276, and in New Jersey, 609-235-2766. Linda, thanks for being here. Best of luck with the group. I hope it continues to flourish.
I do
and
too.
now a flourishing fellow. Back to you, Monsignor.
Fellowship of Catholic Adults. It's not a mystery, but unfortunately when you start to grow and develop, you cannot be afraid of anything mysterious in your life. You have to open yourself up to new truth. Isn't it strange how we shy away from things which are difficult? Well, the fellowship people do not shy away from it, nor do we. Monsignor Dan Murray helps us tonight not to shy away from something difficult, but to look into something very difficult about our creed, that Jesus descended into hell.
Possibly no article of the Apostles' Creed sounds so strange to modern ears than the one we are considering this evening. He descended into hell. What can it mean? There are a few places in the New Testament that seem to say something about this matter. Let's listen to them. The first epistle of Peter, chapter 3, verse 19, and chapter 4, verse 6, are the two quotes most often cited to support biblical evidence of this article in the Creed. This is what we read. It was in the Spirit also that he went to preach to the spirits in prison. They had disobeyed as long ago as Noah's day, while God patiently waited until the ark was built. The reason the gospel was preached even to the dead was that although condemned in the flesh in the eyes of men, they might live in the Spirit in the eyes of God. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 9, he ascended. What does this mean but that he had first descended into the lower regions of earth? Romans chapter 10, verses 6 and 7, but of the justice that comes from faith, he says, do not say in your heart, who shall go up into heaven, that is, bring Christ down, or who shall go down into the abyss, that is, to bring Christ up from the dead. Matthew chapter 12, verse 40. Just as Jonah spent 3 days in the belly of the whale, so will the Son of Man spend 3 days and 3 nights in the bowels of the earth. The first thing we have to realize is that these passages are so difficult to understand that they can be easily explained in many different ways. Jesus' descent into hell was not clearly preached in the early days of the church. The crucifixion under Pontius Pilate, the death, the burial, the resurrection, these were clearly preached. The descent into hell only entered the creed in the middle of the 4th century during the Arian controversy. The second thing we have to realize is that the word hell is probably a bad translation. Our English word hell translates the Hebrew word Sheol and the Greek word Hades, which mean no place, the underworld, the home of the dead. The Hebrews and Greeks did not think of Sheol and Hades as a place of torment or punishment. Sheol and Hades simply refer to the state of death, which was very vaguely imagined as a kind of shadow existence, more non-being than being. Some scholars on the basis of this maintain that he descended into hell simply means Jesus died. St. Ignatius of Antioch, St. Polycarp, St. Irenaeus taught that Jesus' descent into hell meant that Jesus experienced the lot of sinful humanity in coming to know what it really means to die. This isn't the full story, however, and in another session we will consider other possible meanings of this article in the Apostles' Creed.
If you want to mark your calendars now, we will be having Monsignor's conclusion to this piece 3 weeks from tonight.
Please stay with us now. Don't stop.
These men are just part of the community and work in its block factory. They make concrete blocks, which will either be sold to outside buyers or used for building projects within the community.
Many people find retirement isn't as much fun as they thought it would be. Too much time on their hands, too little to do. The Retired Senior Volunteer Program has thousands of opportunities for retired executives, housewives, engineers, teachers, whatever your skills or schedule. RSVP has something to fit anyone's interests. You've learned a lot in your life. Share the experience of a lifetime.
We welcome your comments and suggestions and encourage you to write to us at Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19103, or call us during regular business hours at 215-668-9842. Right now, a reel-to-reel rarity. What you're about to see is a piece that we aired a while back, and we've got so much feedback on it, so many letters and phone calls, we decided to present it once again.
Mixes are always very tough. And when you do something mixture, something has to give way. And the difficulty is when work and home seem to mixture. But when what the problem develops is when the anger from work invade the family love.
Do you often bring anger and disappointments from your work into your married life? Unfortunately, many of us do this without realizing that we're doing it, and without realizing the negative effects that this anger can have on a marriage. In fact, in my experience with lots of couples, work anger misdirected into the marriage is a major source of marital stress. There are even some people who mistakenly believe that it's good for them to take the anger that's meant for work out in the home, because if they let it out at work, it's going to cause major problems in their job. Now, when this anger is taken out at a spouse, it has a number of very bad effects on them. You see, all of us need to have love flowing to us, not anger. When anger flows at us rather than love, we become discouraged, we become drained, we can become exhausted. Regularly, people become tense, or some people put up walls so that when their spouse comes home, they've got big walls put up and they can't receive love or experience love because they've been so hurt in the past by work anger. Children regularly become tense and fearful when a father comes into the home excessively frustrated and angry about things at work. Okay, so some different things can be done to diminish this work anger, and they include some of the following. First, on the way home, try to make a decision to let go of that work frustration and work anger. Try to think, I want to give it over. I want to forgive the people I'm upset with. I don't want to bring frustrations and anger into my marriage. I want to bring love and warmth into my marriage. For some of us, exercising can diminish some of that tension caused by the buildup of inner anger. Thirdly, when you come into your marriage, don't spend too much time talking about the negative. Try to focus on the positive things that have happened to you that day and to your spouse that day. Thirdly, it's possible to release work anger right while it's occurring during the course of a day. You can't let it out. You can at least think to yourself, I want to understand the person who's hurt me, and I want to try to forgive them if possible. Now, for some of us, we're so frustrated in our jobs that we can't forgive the people we work with, or our boss, for example. In situations like that, then, it's possible to think, okay, I'm just going to take my anger, turn it over to a higher power, admit my own powerlessness, and say, okay, God, you forgive them because I can't. Finally, you don't want to let those who frustrate you during the course of your day control you in the evening with your loved ones. If you take some of these steps, that won't happen. Anger that's really meant for the workplace won't control your family life, and love and warmth can continue to flow in your marriage.
We never could minimize the stress in a family. However, nor can we neglect the larger problems that do exist all around us.
It's true. It's a whole different challenge and tension that's set up when stress extends beyond the immediate family to a family of a country and a family of a culture. To meet the challenges of the extra tensions of life below the poverty level, the Mustardseed groups are trying to provide an answer for the people of Jamaica.
Another sunset over the island paradise of Jamaica. But what makes this a picture worth keeping for visitors is actually a thin veneer that masks reality. All is not well in Jamaica. It is a land of the rich and the poor. In Kingston, wealthy families reside high in the hills, while the vast majority of people live beneath them in beat-up houses and decrepit shacks. This woman and her grandchildren have never known anything but poverty. To them, it's a never-ending way of life, and it has a deep and lasting impact on their spirits.
It brings hopelessness, and when hopelessness creeps in, what you have is death. And literally so, either by criminal activity or by self-inflicted death. And you find that there is a fantastic lacuna of hope. Everything is despair.
Father Gregory Romkisoon is a priest in the Archdiocese of Kingston and ministers to the poor. One of his lay assistants is David Thompson, and David knows all about poverty. He grew up in the White Wing settlement.
About 75 to 76% of the people here are unemployed. And out of 75, about 20% of the women here are engaged in informal prostitution just for a livelihood of obtaining money. So we have to really thank Father Gregory for what they've been doing.
What Father Gregory has been doing is building a unique and extraordinary community, a mustard seed community.
Basically, if we have the faith of a mustard seed, we can move mountains. And I have seen it very well here, where the poor people, even if they know what they want and they have the faith that they can do it, it's amazing what they can do. Yeah.
The ultimate goal of Mustardseed is to teach these impoverished people to help themselves. Father Gregory says there are 3 aspects to the community.
One is the caring aspect, which is the most important. That is looking after totally abandoned people, whether they're children, retarded, handicapped, old people, whatever it is. That is the first aspect. The second one is to have skills training and economic development, and that is hope to give employment to people and at the same time to help subsidize the caring aspects. Because I strongly believe that the poor should be taught to help the poor, because it is very important for the poor to learn to help themselves, and it is very, very important that we understand that. The third aspect is education. A community like this, there's hardly any real outlet for kids. There are some older fellas here working with me and they're illiterate. They can't read and write.
These men are just part of the community and work in its block factory. They make concrete blocks, which will either be sold to outside buyers or used for building projects within the community.
The concept of Mustardseed also entails having the people run their own lives. And the idea is to keep training people so that they can take positions of decision making. Over here, one of the men is called a supervisor, and he looks after everything. Block factory, chicken farm, buildings, food program, everything. Another person, we are bringing him up, he's in charge of the chicken farm. And we test him out on that little thing, see how he works, and then move him up. The third person is in charge of office, and he's the only one that can write. So we put him in charge of counting and checking and bringing things, making phone calls. And we hope this team is meant, when we're opening a new project, to go and help in the other project.
Through Mustardseed, Father Gregory is helping these Jamaicans build self-respect. Much work lies ahead, and what keeps Father Gregory going is what he sees in the faces of his people.
I see Jesus Christ. And each time I see one of these old women or these little abandoned, retarded children, the first thing I look at is, my God, what have I done here? In other words, it is Jesus on the cross, but a smiling Jesus. And it motivates me even more to bring back Jesus from the cross, for we haven't taken him down yet.
We've talked about stress and poverty very much tonight, but next week when you join us, Father Tom Legere will talk to us about inner peace. And then we'll have the happiness to see a great event that the altar boys had at Cathedral when the Sarah Club invited them there to celebrate with the Archbishop.
And in the hot seat, I'll be interviewing Joseph McGill, who many of you know is the chief prosecutor in the MOVE trial. What you may not know is he is also president of Sarah International of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. We'll meet him next week.
Until then, good night and God bless you.
Good night. See you next week.
Travel arrangements for Reel to Reel by Atkinson and Mullen Travel of Media, PA.